On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, reportedly Val Nichushkin is playing summer hockey over in Russia. Cause for concern or no big deal? Let's discuss. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciate it. Make sure you're following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche, Instagram and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below, because when you do chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, we get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. Like we will do a little bit later when we get the subtext crew season grade for Joel Kiviranta. So we will get his grade. We will also discuss this CapFriendly situation. Very, very interesting stuff going on there. That kind of came out of nowhere. But we'll discuss that in the second segment. But where we're going to start today, sir, is we wanted to bring this up on Friday's episode. We just got talking too much about Gabe Landeskog going to Hollywood, so to speak. And we never really had time to talk about it. So, I mean, it's the off season. It's okay if things get pushed back a day or two. We have time. And word came out last week that, Val Nichushkin was going overseas back to Russia to play in a summer league, which goes from, I don't remember the exact dates, but it was like beginning of July to the end of August. So it was basically almost like a 2-month summer league thing. I've never heard, not that I'm really familiar with all the leagues over in Russia. I even tried to look this one up and couldn't find a thing on it. But whatever. If it's true that he's doing this, I know people have feelings, and anything Val Nichushkin does right now, people are there's a subset of people who just want to be like, terminate him. He woke up before his alarm went off. Terminate him. And this, people are kind of going to that with this. Why don't you get your thoughts on it? First of all, do you feel like this is a little bit concerning that he's heading over there right now? Or is it just, well, the guy's got to stay in shape and play some hockey? Like, which side of the fence are you on with this thing?
Well, my friend, my wonderful, wonderful friend, let me throw two little balls of doom at you to see where you feel about this, because I've had the weekend to really digest this information and try and approach it the right way. Okay, great. Val Nichushkin going home, playing hockey. Wonderful. Any other circumstance? That's wonderful news. Great. He's staying in shape. Is he not supposed to be in some sort of program? Level 3.
That's where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the first one. Okay, so let's just pretend like we're not even addressing that. Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, so he's in a Russian league. Cute, wonderful. Martin Kaut did the same not too long ago. And he went and played overseas. What happens, per se, if he goes over there and gets hurt, which he's done before? How does this fall? This is where everybody gets to put on their lawyer hats.
Mm-hmm.
Where does this fall in the contract discussions for one Valeri Nichushkin if you go and play in another league under NHL contract, which is in a supposed assistance program? You go into another league and get hurt. What ramifications does that have for this contract we will be talking about all offseason?
I don't know, because I don't know, because some players, have that in contracts where, and I'm not just talking for hockey, I'm just talking about like across sports, where I know a lot of like football players will have kind of things in their contract to say like you can't play basketball in the off season. Like, we don't want you playing anything. I don't know what's in his contract in terms of stuff like that. I know a lot of guys will go play, they have, like I said, you have to stay in shape somehow. You can get hurt just in the weight room, just lifting weights. You can get hurt playing in a summer league somewhere. How it's worded in his contract, I do not know. So, but if it is in there, then, but is it worded where he can't do it? Again, I'm not sure. So if he were to get hurt doing that, I don't know. I wonder like how hard this league is really going. I can't imagine he's going to be going, like full bore if this is all true. The other thing that was said, he's the only NHL player to commit to playing this thing. So what does that say about this league? That there's, over in Russia, there's how many Russian players in the NHL that aren't playing in this thing? I can't really see like guys kind of taking runs at him. It's just a summer league. It's just like a beer summer league. It's not like there's someone that's playing against him that's going to want to make a name for himself. And check down that she's going up against the board. It's probably there just to do exactly what it's supposed to do, is just stay in shape. But it brings up the point that you brought in the beginning of, dude, you're supposed to be in treatment right now. And I don't know many treatments that cross oceans. It's very difficult to transfer a treatment anywhere. So to do it from one country to another, again, and we talked about this earlier, how I think like last week or something like that, where like that player program is kind of secretive. So you don't know what treatment program he was in, if at all. And this kind of makes me feel like he's not. This makes me feel like he's just suspended and nothing else, and go figure it out on your own. Because if you were in a treatment program and he goes to say, hey, I'm going to go play over in Russia, the answer to that would be like, no, you're not. You're in this program. You're suspended for 6 months, and that's not going to fly.
And see, this, you got to take this headline and read between the lines here. We were talking all the way up until this news broke, and we will talk all through the offseason about what will the Avalanche do with the contracts of Gabe Landeskog and Val Nichushkin. Gabe Landeskog, you're waiting on how healthy is Landeskog. Got it? Check. Nichushkin, there's a lot of weird, secretive, unanswered, just he's in a protocol. He's in our program. That's understood. He's in this weird NHL purgatory, for lack of a better term. Now the power has flipped to the Avalanche. Now, if let's say Nichushkin does come back and he's limping and picked up, a sprain in the league, the Avalanche could sit there and say, oh, don't worry. We have Nichushkin right here in this program. Oh, wait a minute. Where is he? Oh, NHL, this is on you. I thought he was under your care. This flips everything for the Avalanche. This program that he had to go level 3, like DEFCON 5,
right?
He's in this program. Why is he in Russia? This is not. How are you monitoring? Do you have an office in Russia? Because he's under your, I heard, until November.
Right.
And this is
under their care, right? Yeah.
So what is he doing in Russia? So this goes on the NHL. What are we doing here? Is this all just what is actually going on with this program? And then if anything happens while he's in the NHL care and he comes back limping, or anything happens over there, this is out of the Avalanche hands, because he's under the NHL umbrella in their program, which is apparently in a plane going to Russia to play in a media league, which is what it's referred to, for like 2 months.
It's a good question. Like, who okayed it? Because he's under contract with the Avalanche. His contract is not void, so they are in control of him. But at the same time, so is the NHL, because this is their program. This is the NHL player program. This is not the Colorado Avalanche player program. So who okayed this? And if they okayed it, what is this program doing?
Yeah.
You have a guy who's suspended for 6 months because he's failed on drug screens multiple times, 3 times to be exact, that we know of. And you are okay with him after only being in this program for what has been about a month, I'm going to say. And he said, I want to go play in Russia. And somebody there said, that's okay. I have a hard time with that. I really don't agree with that. And, the injury thing is what it is. That, like I said, that's anywhere. But they would have a leg to stand on. I mean, but then again, if he came home and it was just something that was, LBI day to day, well, you can't really do much with that because this is done at the end of August. He'd have September, October, half of November to get right. So, I mean, unless it's I can't imagine him having a Gabe Landeskog type injury in this league where he's out for 2 years. Even if he was injured, he'd have 2.5 months to get it right. But we heard Chris McFarland say they were looking at all avenues. And if they have like a little loophole there where if he were to return injured, you could better believe the Avalanche are going to exploit that and maybe try to get out of it that way.
No, that's exactly where I was about to go with this. McFarland, you heard in the press conference, he made the call to figure out what they can do. The NHL said, you can't do anything with this contract until November. He has to apply for reinstatement. No way does this make him a free agent to play anywhere, wherever, however he wants, because this doesn't fly. You heard Nichushkin is the only NHL player who is going to be in this league. There must be a reason. And this must be something that's handled under a contract. And if you're telling the Avalanche, yes, he did something, but don't worry, he's under our control, but you cannot terminate this contract. But that also doesn't give the NHL the right to let him go wherever he wants to go and go play wherever he wants to play, because the Avalanche have to figure out how to put this team together with Nichushkin money that they can't do anything with because he's under your control in a plane going to Russia.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is he in treatment or is he not?
Exactly.
Is he just under?
Doesn't sound like it.
Is he just under a player program and he's just under that title of a program? Well, what does the program do? Because apparently they let guys go to other countries and play when they should be.
It's a field trip. It's a field trip.
Wow. I don't know, man. A lot of questions, and I think the one thing that we can guarantee is like we're not going to get answers on this.
Nope,
at all, because this is you don't get a lot of answers of what the player program is to begin with. And I'm kind of surprised you haven't really heard anything out of the Avalanche to say like, this is okay for him to do this on our end. But what the league is okaying it is a whole nother thing for me. This is bizarre. This is just a little bit bizarre for my take.
And we thought this would be the quietest story going through the offseason.
Well, we're talking about his contract and Gabe Landeskog's contract. Something that I use almost daily is going away. But why it's going away is the interesting thing. We'll talk about that coming up next. All right, let's hear from FanDuel. Summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and of course the Stanley Cup Finals, and so much more. And you can bet on it all at FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That is $200 you can use to bet on everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park to, of course, this Stanley Cup. What'd you think of Game 1, sir?
Wow, go Panthers.
Do you think they have this thing locked up, or is this going to be a long series? I mean, I know you gave your prediction, but
I'm calling it now. Anything? Sweep, baby, sweep.
They're going to revenge their own sweep in the Stanley Cup Final. To who? The Colorado Avalanche. So maybe they sweep their own. That could be a story right there. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. That's FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, CapFriendly. I'm sure you've heard of it if you've never used it. It's something that I have a whole bunch of tabs at the top of my screen that I'm looking at right now. CapFriendly is always up there, just to be up there, just in case we say, hey, what's up with this guy on this team? And I can bring it up, say, oh, here's what he has left. Here's what his contract is. We've used it so many times already in the offseason when we're doing that roster builder and you're, slotting in free agents. It's an incredible tool for kind of like not analytic nerds, but cap nerds. And it's so popular. Teams themselves use it. Like, sure, they have their own database and stuff like that, but it was just so user friendly, so easy to just go up, type in your team, and all of your stuff comes up. You're not going to have that apparently in about I don't know the exact date, but about a month and a half, some middle of July, I think is what they said, after the draft is over and free agency has just gotten going. Why is it going away? Because the Washington Capitals bought it. They bought it. They are bringing all of that data, all of those analytics, all of the info on that site, and they are keeping it for themselves and shutting it out to everybody. Users, other teams, everybody. It will become property of the Washington Capitals. Color me shocked when I heard this news, because I number one, I didn't think CapFriendly was really up for sale, because I thought teams, while I know that they use it, they have their own stuff in house where they wouldn't need to buy something like CapFriendly. Apparently, that's not the case, which speaks to a bigger issue, which we'll get to. But what were your thoughts when you heard this? This is crazy stuff right here.
Yeah, and when we were going through our free agents, every list, the list that I'm looking off, anytime you see the left side of my face glow, just know that it's coming from CapFriendly. And it's shocking to me that CapFriendly, and the owners of the CapFriendly parent site, he did pass away tragically not too long ago, which is kind of put everything into a state of flux and a little bit of weirdness. But to be on this level, that the Washington Capitals, and I know the Avalanche and Capitals fan base, there's the Hershey Bears correlation, like there's a little bit of bleed over, I understand, but from this point forward, this level of petty, this is a great tool. It is mine and only mine.
Yeah.
It is the most ridiculous move I have seen from a front office, other than Vegas and their ownership bobbleheads. That was kind of ridiculous. But buying a tool that anyone can use for your own personal gain, it's not like, I don't know what they're trying to do with this, what advantage this gives them, but we'll just find something else. But this puts the Washington Capitals on the petty throne and give them the crown.
Yeah, I think this just speaks to what the Capitals as a franchise were lacking, that they had to go buy these guys because they didn't have something already set up to do it. Now, I did hear that there were other teams involved. There were other teams that were trying to buy. I don't know. Like, that's why it's just so shocking to me. Is like, I really want to know who those other teams are. We'll likely never know. But and I think maybe there is some jealousy there among fan bases that they were not the one. Hey, if CapFriendly was for sale, why didn't we get it? You know what I mean? There might be some jealousy there, but I mean, this is like Napster, right? Like it goes away. There's going to be there's already some out there now. Like, Puckpedia is one that everybody's going to flock to. That was kind of like the second most popular one. But the CapFriendly site was just so user friendly, and Puckpedia is to an extent, but there's a whole new learning curve that people who only use CapFriendly have to go do. Fine, that'll come and go, and we'll be fine. But CapFriendly had those features that just were unmatched, and it's amazing to me that Washington was like, we don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have ways to like navigate the salary cap. Really? Like you must have some ways to do it. And the ways you had were not good enough. And a public website that anybody can use was better. And it was good. I mean, it is awesome. I'm not mad at the CapFriendly guys. They saw an opportunity to probably retire, and they took it. Can't be mad at them. But for Washington to kind of just like swoop in here, and they were the team that won. So whoever those other teams were, there was going to be a team that everybody is mad at right now. And right now it's Washington because they apparently were the highest bidder. And apparently they need the site. They need the info. They need the data because they didn't have it. I think that's just more embarrassing than anything else, unless I'm reading this wrong.
And something else, because I always like to flip stories on the opposite side. What do you do if you're a Washington Capital fan right now who also uses CapFriendly, and now your own team has made it to where you can never use this site again because this site goes dark as soon as the NHL draft is over? How do you defend this as, oh, this is great. We couldn't figure out how to operate the salary cap, so we bought CapFriendly. I'm sure they're doing just fine with it. I don't care if they rattle off Stanley Cup after Stanley Cup after Stanley Cup. This was just ridiculous. It speaks to an embarrassment of the organization that you had to go out and make this move and steal it from hockey fans. Now you are like a big enemy in the sight of hockey fans and probably a good portion of your own fan base.
I don't know if the guys who owned it are going with it. I didn't really see that part of the story. Like, are they now employees of the Capitals, or because someone's got to run the tech? You can't just hand it over to them and be like, have at it. Someone's got to keep that up. Is it going to be them? I mean, if they sold it and then become employees of the Capitals, like, good on them. That's good for them. All they have to really focus on is one team now rather than all 32. They do have the basketball side of things, and I wonder about that. Like, did the what is it? Something swoosh?
Yeah.
Swoosh something for the NBA side of things. I don't know if that was a part of it. Did they inherit that and give it to the Washington I was gonna say Bullets, not the Bullets anymore. The Wizards.
It's the big thing is, why, if that's what you want, why not hire those employees or the CEO and say, come figure this out for us? Why take the entire site?
Or just anybody? There's geniuses out there right now, and say, like, hey, we're putting a call out for go to capfriendly.com. That's what we want. Recreate that for us. Guaranteed there's going to be people out there that would have signed up for that. And you'll see it because there's going to be other sites like CapFriendly that start popping up because people want this. And yeah, I know PuckPete, like I said, PuckPete is out there and that's good. But it's just kind of confusing to me for like you said, the Capitals to be like, nope, this is our property now. And all you people that use this, SOL.
Did the Washington management think the site was made for them, being cap friendly?
Oh, no. I don't think that
this
at all.
is the most cap unfriendliest move the Caps have made.
Yeah.
So
I think they thought of it as like, no, we know how valuable this site is. We don't want anybody else to have it. So we're going to buy it. And again, other teams thought that too. I don't know. Like it just never saw this one coming. And what does that speak to the analytics community of hockey, where teams are doing this now? Is this the first domino to fall? There's a lot of, and not just cap stuff. Like there's a lot of, like Money Puck is one that I talk about all the time. There's another one that I use. I can't even think of it right now, but are those going to start falling? Are teams going to start inheriting those? Like, what gives?
Is the Amazon data that we have been gathering for the past couple of years, is that not good enough for you either? Because they're capturing a lot of data live in game and overall throughout the league. Is that data not being shared and not good enough for you? I mean, does Google not work for the Washington Capitals? You could find out some information.
It's just crazy to use it, and you could have just left it alone. Unless the CapFriendly guys were the ones who started this and started shopping it to, like, we don't want to do it anymore for some reason. I can't imagine that'd be the case. But hey, maybe if they were the ones who like put this initiative out and be like, it's for sale. Is there anybody that wants to buy it? We'll come work for you and we'll be exclusive for you. If that's the case, then this takes a different story. But still, the way that it looks right now is just Washington didn't have the best department when it came to that. So they needed to go get a public website to run their stuff. It just looks bad.
Vegas broke the tech. You can't run a CapFriendly website with how Vegas runs the cap.
Man, maybe that was it. Maybe the CapFriendly guys were like, we don't want to deal with Vegas for another season. So somebody buy it, please. Crazy. And again, I think it goes to, as far as the fans go, because fans are angry about this. It not being your team that bought it. And I think it just caught people off guard. Just not expecting this at all. So we'll see where it goes. But yeah, Puckpedia is another one that you can use. And I'm sure there's other ones out there that are going to start popping up left and right. So I think there's one cap. I can't remember what it is. But again, none are as good as CapFriendly. So sad to see it go. But we got another month or so with it. All right, one more thing to do, and that is our season grade list, and we're making our way down it. And the next one up is Mr. Kiviranta, so we'll get to him after this. All right, season grade time, and today it is Joel Kiviranta. His first season with the Avs. They brought him in. If I'm not mistaken, it was a PTO, was it not?
I believe it was.
Pretty sure it was. It was so long ago now. And he made the grade. played most of the season with them. 56 games played, 3 goals, 6 assists for a total of 9 points. But he's a depth guy. So, you're not expecting a ton, but that's what you got out of him. What do our grades look like? If you're looking over on YouTube, there you go. Kyle and I both gave him a C+. YouTube and Twitter gave him C's as well. Instagram and Threads both gave him B's, believe it or not. So I'll get to the subtext people here in a minute, but your thoughts on Kiviranta?
He did exactly what you expected him to do. It's not like he was wowing anybody. He did have that one game against Anaheim, understood. But other than that, he was fine. Like the 9 points that you mentioned, he tied his production with Dallas last year. And he's had in 2020, 2021, he had 11. That's his career high. So we're not
a points guy, right?
Yeah, it's not a points like he did exactly what you expected and what he's always done. So he's never been a detriment. He's never been oh my gosh, if Kiviranta, if he didn't do no, he's never been the subject of a head scratching, finger pointing, like if we got to get him off the team. But he's serviceable. He's done a fine job, like a C+, 75% like passing grade.
Yeah, I can't people are like, what would he need to do to be above like his grade? Like what he did this year is what he does. So based on that, I can't give him an A because he like met expectations. He's got to have that season where, he puts up like 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 20 points as, a fourth liner when you don't typically do that. And again, I'm not looking for, point production off the charts for your fourth liner, but that's what you give everything that Kiviranta typically gives you with the added bonus of he gave you 20 points in the season, you're a full letter grade up. You do that. So it's not bad that he's in like this C-. Like I thought, like you said, he was there. He did what he was supposed to do. I thought he had a really good playoff. I thought if we're just basing on playoffs, maybe I'll give him a little bit more for the playoffs and give him a B-. And I don't think he really did point wise in the playoffs, but I thought he was aggressive in the playoffs, and he was very good defensively, very good against the boards. Like it seemed like he's stepped his game up a little bit more in the playoffs, which was nice to see. But over the course of the regular season, just gives you what you want him to give you, and that's not bad.
Yeah, he's the equivalent of an NBA role player. Like he knows what he's supposed to do. He's not going to. You're not asking for a Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid production. He can't do it. It's just not there. And he's averaging under 10 minutes of ice time. And to come out 56 games, 9 points, about 950 of time on ice is your average. I mean, as long as you're not a detriment, you're doing good. And like he does show up. You see his hustle. You see him start plays, but he's on the fourth line. So it's not like you're going to see that really pay off that much. But I mean, if he gave you 20 points, this would be an A+. And is he finally having a breakout? But no, this is par for the course for Kiviranta, and you get a par for the course grade.
Yeah. Over on subtext, Vargar kind of said something like that. He said he gave him a B. So Kivy was a B. He was close to as good as it gets, which I think he means as good as it gets for him. I'm a little disappointed he isn't a clutch playoff guy, and that playoff hockey or that playoff hat trick seemed to be a flash in the pan. And unfortunately, that hat trick was against the Avalanche. And I think that's where, like, if you're holding him to that standard, you can't do that. Like, yeah, he had a hat trick. That just proves playoff hockey is crazy and anything can happen. But for him to get, the hat trick against the Avs, I think there's some people who are thinking like, oh, this is going to come full circle. And when they went into overtime against Dallas, he was going to pot the goal. It's like he'll likely never have another hat trick his entire career. And that's just what happens sometimes.
And that hat trick came in that 2020-2021 season where he had 11 points. So that hat trick alone was basically like 30% of his production that year when it came to points. Right. So you can't go too crazy over the hat trick either.
Exactly. Madam Battleaxe, she gave him a B-. He did have some great moments on the season, but honestly, he was just a tad quiet for me. He did score the 1 goal in the playoffs, but I was looking for a bit more from him. Like, I get what she's saying, but I wasn't looking for much more from him. Like, I kind of got what I wanted out of him. I thought he was as advertised. And saying that, would I want to bring him back? I think I would.
Yeah.
He didn't cost you anything. He was less than $1 million. I think he's one of those guys that they're comfortable bringing back in. He's got 1 year with the team. Bring him back in for a second year. Maybe he does get a little bit of an uptick being with the team in the offseason and knowing the system. I wouldn't be against it, and he's not going to cost you a lot.
Kiviranta, the best way to describe him, he is a piece of fruit stripe gum. It's good for about 2 minutes, and then you're just like, oh, yeah, okay, let's move on.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the 2 seconds is 2 seasons, maybe.
Yeah, it's just like you keep going back because you like that initial, like that pop that he does when he shows up. And you're like, oh yeah, that's great, and you keep going back to that. But it's just a lot of the just dried out. Like, okay, let's get to line 1. Let's start this over again.
And finally, Zach likes him. Kiviranta is the man. He skates so hard every time he's on the ice. For a bottom 6 guy, he deserves an A. He gave him an A. And I'm all for giving bottom 6 guys A's. But I feel like you have to stand out a little bit more in certain areas. And he doesn't really do that. And again, that's okay. Like, he's not, like you said, he's not a detriment to the team. But is he really out there doing anything that for a depth guy that is saying, like, like a Cogliano that's really putting himself out there? Is he doing that stuff? I don't really see that consistently from him. So I can't really give him more than what we gave him.
Yeah, to Zach Kiviranta, I'm pretty sure is his last name after that.
Yeah.
Like,
his brother.
It's hard to give, and no detriment to Kiviranta and everything that he's done, but it's hard to give him an A when you have guys like Drouin having the seasons that he has, far surpassing what you're expected to do. This is where the A comes in, because the C+ is kind of, you're doing a basically you're just punching in, punching out. You have ups, you have a little bit of a down, but nothing that shakes the team to its core. Like, Drouin played way above his ability and way above the norm, and that's where you get your A's, is up there. And if Kiviranta did hit your 20 points, we're talking A+. And if you're playing above the norm, especially on this team, even the 4th line it's a good question and debate on who should be on this 4th line. If you can't get double-digit points and more, I mean, you're just kind of going through the motions.
Yeah, and like you said, like, even for depth guys, there are expectations. And I'm not trying to compare, what he's doing to like Jonathan Drouin, but the expectation for Jonathan Drouin, he exceeded those.
Mm-hmm.
Did Joel Kiviranta exceed his expectations? I don't think so. Nope. Like, I think he did what you were expecting him to do. So there's your grade. So on Wednesday, the next one in line here, Arturi Lehkonen. So we'll get to his grade. That would be for Wednesday's show. But for today, it's going to wrap it all up today, sir. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. And for Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
We're not taking CapFriendly from you.